it's Laura from Divine Light Yoga here. I've just finished doing a wonderful video, Zoom call and podcast with Yuva Yoga, and we were talking about therapeutic approaches to teens. So I thought I'd just jump on here and give a few tips, practical tips, on how to make restorative yoga for teens more meaningful, more therapeutic, but also really more restorative for them. I think teens in general, they all need a little bit of downtime, away from the screens, but away from social pressures, away from schoolwork, away from family, and really just time to be by themselves in their physical body, being aware of really what's going on with them physically, mentally, emotionally, and giving them the tools and the space in order to help them to release any anxiety, to be aware of emotions, but then let go of them. Be aware of thought patterns, but then replace those thought patterns perhaps with something a little bit more positive, or just in general release them. So I wanted to give some practical tips on how to make a restorative and meaningful class for teenagers. So the first thing that I would suggest is allowing them to fully participate and contribute to creating the class. So of course, as a teacher, we want to go into the class feeling prepared, and having some things that we know that we really want to share that are going to be beneficial for the teens that we're working with. So you might have specific breathing techniques, specific poses that you'd like to share with them on that day, but really go in there and allow them to contribute to the class. So ask them, what do you need from me today? How are you feeling today? Check in with them. What are their energy levels like? Are they hyperactive? Are they really lethargic? Are they likely to be very unfocused? And really ask them, what is it that they need from you, and get them to contribute. So really asking them, what's going on for you this week? What's been annoying you? What's creating some stress or anxiety? Giving them that space to actually share with you a little bit of insight of what's going on in their life and what's creating some of the anxiety or the negative thoughts that they might be having, so that you can really understand what they need from you that day in that particular session. So as much as you might want to go in there with your plan, if you're not meeting the teens with what they need and where they're at energetically and mentally and emotionally, your class won't actually be restorative, relaxing, or beneficial for them. So the first thing you need to do is really check in with them, see where they're at, see what they want, what they need, and get them to contribute to the class. Ask them, what is it, physically, what do you want to do? Do you want something high energy? Do you want something more restorative? Do you want to do a really long shavasana? Are your minds ready for a yoga nidra? Do you want to just sit and breathe? Do you want to sit or do you want to lie? So really getting them to contribute as a group to the class, so that they know you really genuinely care about their well-being, and so then they know that they can come to you and say, hey, I'm feeling really anxious, or I've got this going on in my life. Have you got a breathing technique that's going to help me? Or what do you think I should do? Shall I do meditation? Have you got a mindfulness activity? So that you're actually practically helping them specifically with what they need. Another thing that you can do to make your classes more restorative with teens is, of course, use props. So whether you are teaching online or in person, if you are in a place where you can't share props right now, if in your community, with the current situation, if you're not sharing props, then get them to bring their own props in. I noticed that this makes a huge difference with teens. If you are doing a relaxation technique or a restorative class or a breathing exercise, the difference between just lying on the mat and doing it versus lying on the mat with pillows under their knees, with something supporting the back of their head, with a warm eye mask, with essential oils, dim lights, All of these props make a huge difference. We know as adult yogis, it makes a huge difference. But definitely with teenagers, if you can bring in those props that are going to help them feel more physically comfortable, it's going to activate or stimulate the part of the nervous system that does allow them to go into rest and digest, restorative healing mode. It's also going to make them emotionally feel nurtured, nourished, cared for, which even though a lot of teenagers might seem like they don't want that and they're pushing that kind of nurturing, caring away from their parents or other teachers, they still need it. We all need it. We all need a little bit of care and nurturing. So just bringing in those props to make your restorative class feel more nourishing for them, and that it feels more special, and that you're actually taking the time and the energy to bring in, and whether you're bringing it in or not, if you're doing it online, still you're taking the time to give them the practical knowledge and information on how to use props, how to use everyday objects to make themselves feel more nourished, restored, relaxed, how to work with their nervous system to actually help them to go into that rest and digest phase. So definitely using as many props as possible. And with props also things like the lighting, the scents in the room, whether you're using essential oils, or if you are in person and you are able to be in contact with them, just giving them a little head massage, or even just showing them how to give themselves a massage to again nurture themselves and take care of themselves. And then another activity or another technique would be to make sure that when you're leading restorative poses with teenagers, that you don't just leave them in the posture to think about all different things, social media and their to-do lists and their homework and things that they need to do. When you are guiding them into a restorative posture or through a restorative class, you need to really guide them into it. So firstly, of course, setting up the pose. This is what your props look like. Get into the pose, relax the different parts of the body. So maybe going through a bit of a body scan to support them in relaxing particularly tense parts of the body. But then using a breathing technique that is specifically working with the parasympathetic nervous system, so working with the part of the nervous system that does move them into rest and digest. So it takes them away from feeling anxious, hyper-aroused, hyperactive, overexcited, nervous, stressed. So take them out of that phase and put them in restoration, cooling, calming phase by working with particular breathing techniques. So the best breathing technique for this is belly breathing, so guiding them through belly breath. Another one is humming bee breath, so guiding them through maybe 2 to 5 cycles of Brahmari breath, which is the humming bee breathing, or doing a 3-part breath as well. So breathing into the belly, the rib cage and the chest, and then exhaling from the belly, the rib cage and the chest. So the difference between you as the teacher asking them to go into a reclined restorative posture and leaving them there, versus asking them to go into a reclined restorative posture and guiding them through a body scan, guiding them through a relaxing, cooling, calming breathing technique, is a huge difference to their emotional and mental well-being. In the first one, they are likely to be lying down in the posture. They'll lie down, they'll be quiet, they might look calm, but mentally there will be a lot of mental traffic going on. There will be probably a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions, a lot of discomfort, physical and mental discomfort. Whereas if you are guiding them through a body scan, through a relaxing, cooling, calming breathing technique the whole time, you are giving them something to focus on. You are directly manipulating the nervous system and the brain to go into a cooling, calming, restorative, healing place. So it makes a really big difference. So how you guide it can have a huge impact on the teenagers' overall well-being and health. And of course, everything that you share with them and everything that you teach them are techniques that they will and can use at home. So making sure that you tell them, you know, you can do this at home when you are awake at 4 o'clock in the morning and you can't get to sleep, or when you're feeling stressed out with your revision and your exams. So giving them the practical ways in which they can use it in their everyday life, so that their yoga practice isn't just 1 hour a week with you, but their yoga practice is consistently throughout the day whenever they need it. So they're just a few practical techniques. So using props to make them feel nourished and restored, guiding them into the restorative poses, but also guiding them through the entire time. Yes, there is definitely space. We need to give them some space for silence, but we need to make sure that during that silent time, their mind can be focused and relaxed, not just lying in a relaxing pose, but mentally having a lot of thoughts and emotions coming up for them. We don't really want that. We want to try and give them those tools to acknowledge those thoughts and emotions and then release them so they can be focused and calm, and allowing them to contribute. So checking in with them, giving them exactly what they need depending on what's going on for them in their life at that time, or really how they're feeling energetically, mentally, physically, emotionally at the time of when they come into your class. So try those out. Let me know how your teen classes go, whether you're teaching it online, whether you're a parent of a teen and you want to bring a little bit more restoration and calming and cooling. Who doesn't need more of that, really, especially with a teenager? But post below and let me know how your teen classes or your teen sessions go. And if you've got any questions about this, then also post them below and I will be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much.